Decoding the ethical complexities.
Stephen V. Arbogast examined the nature of corporate corruption and the process through which it resists ethical decision-making through in-depth analysis of what transpired at Enron.68 He examined the sequence of events and developments through a series of cases, successfully tracing the mechanisms of corporate corruption and the dynamics of ethical issues through their evolutionary path within a single firm. This approach to the study of corporate ethics differs from the conventional approach, which attempts to analyze and evaluate ethical issues arising from individual decisions examined in isolation, and removed from the dynamics of sequential decisions. The conventional approach fails to capture the nuances that accompany the process of one decision leading to the next, and in which the ethical issues emerging through subsequent decisions become reality only because of prior decisions. In most business schools, to teach the nuances of ethics, students are presented with a narrative case, and warned in advance of the presence of an ethical dilemma. This approach is characterized as quandary ethics. 69. In reality, however, decision-makers are not forewarned that their decision-making prowess will be tested. Decision-makers identify problems, formulate solutions, and implement plans, while performing under varying degrees of stress, engaging in concomitant sets of activities, and interacting with others, all under time constraints. This suggests that the primary model for exposing students to ethical dilemmas lacks a fundamental relationship with reality, and as such, this may impact the effectiveness of how ethics is taught to future business decision-makers. Moreover, if virtuous decision-making is desirable, then perhaps the existing models, however taught, are inadequate in helping students to reach virtuous conclusions. Generally speaking, the broad ramifications of business ethics are too complex to be adequately analyzed through the study of a single corporation. However, as noted by Dhir, Arbogast has demonstrated that exploration in decision-making, within a single firm such as Enron, offers a variety of case studies of both, 1. Those decision-makers who chose the slippery path for personal gain at the expense of others, and, 2. Those who chose to resist violations of ethical standards even to the extent of blowing the whistle on their own employers at great risk to themselves. 70. Arbogast investigated the key moments defining the evolution of what is now referred to as the Enron scandal. His analyses brought into focus the interwoven connections between various issues. 71. Arbogast traced this evolution through the development of a total of 17 case analyses. The striking feature of these cases is that, when taken in their chronological sequence, they demonstrate how issues in subsequent cases would not have existed if the issues in preceding cases had been handled ethically. It is rare to find pedagogical materials on corporate ethics where sequentially emerging issues have been treated as a chain of cause-effect relationship. This approach of analyzing the range of issues, as developed by Arbogast, yields a process of decoding the complexities of ethical situations in a comprehensive and cohesive manner. 72. The ethicality of a decision is difficult to analyze precisely because such quality is not always explicit. One cannot necessarily determine a decision to be either entirely ethical or entirely unethical. Ethicality depends on the expectations of external agencies, such as the society or the stakeholders, whereas the process of making decisions draws heavily from the decision-maker's personal philosophy, or beliefs and values. The course of action chosen emerges from the trade-offs deployed by the decision-maker. In order to keep their executives on track, consistent with declared codes of ethics and adopted norms, corporations often develop control standards and operating procedures to which the executives must subscribe. Expediency, or worse, ill intent, may tempt executives to suspend these standards, even temporarily, with the dangerous consequence of heading down a slippery path. Dhir states, ethical problems usually evolve over time, with step-by-step violations of standards, even minor oversights, resulting in escalating severity of the departure from control standards, and a loss of cultural, procedural, and legal checks and balances. 73. Minor violations of standards may initiate an accepted practice of making temporary or short-lived exceptions to the rules, which over time might become the defining culture of expediency, even touted as pragmatism, and loss of sensitivity to the underlying principles. The lesson of the Enron experience is that minor exceptions allow for subsequent developments that would not have been seen had the exceptions not been entertained. These developments, in turn, may snowball into further developments, in gross violation of not only the prescribed standards, but also of societal expectations. In the case of Enron, this culture resulted in a major scandal and corporate disaster,